This is my 8-meter aluminium inboard trailer boat that I was going to build. Unfortunately, due to an illness, I can no longer do that. The design as it is only suitable for people who know how to stretch and form plates into complex shapes. It's got a lot of flare in the top side plate. This is a top side plate in green. A lot of people, they don't know what it's called, so they just call it something else. That's 4mm, the bottom is 6mm. So this green topside plate has got concave shape in it. You need forming wheels and stretching wheels. Now it's also available in a design just a straight concave top sides with a bit of shape in them, conventional curve in that plate. And the reason I did it this way is because nobody else in Australia or New Zealand in this size boat makes something like this. It's a bit different, and I think it would be extremely attractive. Now you can see that the side decks, they're not horizontal. They've got the true cambered shape into them, so they drain. One fancy powerboat built in New Zealand and sold into Australia. Well, the decks are horizontal, so they flood the cockpit. So what do? They put a little bit of flat bar across there to divert any water that comes onto the deck. That's just pure amateurish, and that's because these people are they're not boat builders, they're sheet metal workers that have taken up boat building and doing a fine job. In other words, in other aspects, make a really tidy job. But there's so many things like that can make or break the comfort of a boat. Another thing a bit different about this trailer boat is I've done quite a few sea miles in ocean going yachts, and I've worked on tugs. And the sea, when the sea gets cross, it wants to get into your boat and it wants to sink it. So I brought the cockpit sole right up. That's the top side plate there. Oh, hang on. That's the cockpit sole. I brought it right up so the inboard engine fits underneath it. The engine is horizontal with the gearbox has got an 8-degree down angle. And the engine will come up through this box, and that's a table and bait station, whatever. When you use a boat, you can't use this whole cockpit. You'll be thrown from side to side. So that island is really a place where you can sit, where you can work, whether you can eat off, you can make it into a table, whatever you want. Now, the engine that I bought for this boat is sitting out there. It says Cummins BT 150 Marine. It's new. It's probably got the same horsepower or the same grunt as a Volvo of around 250, because it develops its horsepower a lot lower down, 2800 revs. Big tanks, that should be all in one, so I don't know why it's not. See the outline there. I'm a great believer in having long-range tanks, because you need them. You really do need them. The boat is built on girders and frame, a thwart ship framing and girders. So the girders run from the transom until they run out, and of course they do support the engine. You can see the tanks there. You can see just the outline of the motor. It's nothing else other than an outline. So 4mm plate on the side decks, 4 on the cockpit sole, 6 on the bottom. I've designed the boat to wave jump. I've spoken to some designers and naval architects. They say they don't like their boats wave jumping. In actual fact, it's the most comfortable way to get the boat on the plane and just jump from one top to another. If the weather is really rough and you have to slow to walking speed, you get absolutely slammed. So it's essential you get these boats on the plane. The dead rise at the stern is totally unimportant. As far as people always say, oh, it's got 22 degrees at the stern. That's not a good idea. Some of the top designers in the world, game boats, is one man in New Zealand, Don Senior. He designed a lot of big game boats. Got a following all around the world. And the hulls, but there may be 7 or 9 degree dead rise here. But in the entry, for instance, this boat has got a dead rise angle of 42 degrees at station 2. And that means you can go home flying. If this bottom is spoon shaped, like so many of them are, I can think of one that's particularly bad. Not aluminium, but it's a bayliner. I had a runabout. I went out with a friend, and he was a new boatie, and a friend of mine came across from New Zealand who is into commercial craft. And within 2 minutes we were sitting right at the stern. We were just getting slammed, and it was just a little wee chop. No swell, just a little chop. When a boat's like that, you'll get your wife to come along the first time. After that, she will not be interested because they just backbreaking. Okay, so the reason I've made this cockpit sole, as I said, high, motor and fuel tanks underneath, is purely for safety. This doorway will be watertight too. You've seen those sort of rectangular doors with radius corners, and they can be dogged down, so no water can get into the forward sections of the boat, short of hitting a really big rock and sinking the thing. These are the ducts for the engine intake, and out and in hot air, and cool air in and hot air out. When they do rollover tests for this sort of boat and bigger ones, I'm not sure how they blank those off. Or there must be some way when the boat rolls, the pressure inside the hull will not let the water in. So if the boat inverts, right, and there's this great big pocket of air right through the boat, and you imagine this was upside down, then water cannot get into the boat because it's upside down, and this then becomes the lowest point. So water's got to force all that air out of the boat, and where's it going to go? It doesn't. So what happens is the boat rolls over before there's any water ingress. I've seen these tests, quite impressive, but if there's 50,000 trailer boats around Australia, none of them will self-right, and they'll flood, and people will drown, and people will go to sea when they shouldn't go to sea. People will attempt bar crossings when they shouldn't. It's just human nature. Oh, I can get out there. Or they may launch off a surf beach. You can see it on the internet any old day of the week, launching off a surf beach and coming in, capsizing. And that's dangerous because when the boat comes over, it can belt you on the head and you're going to drown because you're unconscious. Okay, so I've had to then put these high rails around, safety rails, because your cockpit sole is now raised like a fishing boat. You know, you see fishing boats at sea, and you see tugs at sea, right? You watch some ocean going tugs. This area is completely flooded most of the time in heavy weather, especially when they've got a tow. So they have big deep bulwarks and they have these freeing ports, and they're quite safe. So if anybody's interested, I'm selling the plans, the drawings. I'm selling the plan, the patterns of all the plates. Here, a roof, side decks, deck head of the forward cabin, bottom. All the offsets will be given. And I'll talk you through a build process if you're interested. So that's about it for now. And over to you.